That's the trauma. The trauma began before that happened. Because if you had been able to talk to your parents and they would have said, this is awful, you must feel terrible, come here, let me hold you, and let's deal with the situation. So the trauma is not only in what happened, it's that you were so alone when it happened. And that aloneness was yours before this traumatic event ever occurred. As a matter of fact, abusers can tell with almost laser-like accuracy who's defended and protected and who's not, who can be victimized and who cannot. So that your primary traumatic event was not this event. Not that this wasn't traumatic, of course it was hugely traumatic, but it became hugely traumatic because you were alone. And that sense of lack of safety and lack of protection. Furthermore, you may not even have wanted to bother your parents because they were already stressed enough already. You were protecting them. That's the primary traumatic situation.
I've never looked at it like that.
Yeah. Do you see that when
I 1,000%.
Yeah.
And I can also see when I think about experiences that friends have shared with me where they did say something.
Yeah.
And then there was denial.
There was dismissal.
Or dismissal.
Yeah.
Or we're not going to tell anybody.
Yeah.
Or this stays within us.
Yeah.
Or even if they then go after the person and confront it, it blows up and somehow you're to blame. And so I can see how...
That's right.
And of course, when you shove it down, you then think you've done something wrong. And that was the other thing that happened for me, is that I felt like I had done something wrong.
That's one of the impacts of trauma, is that shame-based view of the self. That people start blaming themselves. That somehow you invited it or deserved it, or you didn't fight back hard enough, which if you didn't was also self-protection.
Well, I think that was one of the original moments that I remember where I literally left my body and disassociated.
Which was a defense.
Yes.
So again, it's an adaptation. So that's what I would say about that incident.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but again, the problem is in the environment, in the lack of being held and being seen. So there's nothing, and then in your initial impulse when you began that narrative about how it's not as bad as what happened,
Right.
Would you say that to your great?
No.
If your daughter comes to you and says, "Oh, it's not so bad. Think of all the kids that are, being beaten," or so that lack of self-compassion is one of the ways that trauma shows up, and that's why I'm saying the healing needs to begin with some compassionate curiosity towards the self.